Now, Christmas can place extra pressure on people for many different reasons, and for those already finding things difficult, the festive season can feel particularly overwhelming. Money worries, practical challenges, the absence of loved ones, loneliness, difficult relationships, and the wider stresses of society can all take a toll. Limited access to supports and services or spending time in hospital can add to the strain. As these pressures build, there are concerns that vulnerable individuals may experience increased stress, anxiety or isolation over the holiday period. And joining me with some hints and tips on this is Celia Brett. Celia is an integrated mental health counsellor and psychotherapist. Good morning to you, Celia.
Hi Alan, how are you? Thank you very much for having me on again.
No, delighted to have you on because I think it's apt as we're a week and a half out from Christmas, and not to trivialise it, but I can imagine the people at the centre of Trish's text there feeling the stress and strains, and there can be a lot of that around Christmas, and for far more serious reasons as well. We've already spoken on the show for the last week or so about how Christmas is a time for being with loved ones, but for those who maybe are a bit isolated or whose loved ones have passed on or aren't near them, it can kind of heighten their sense of loneliness. It is often portrayed as a joyful time, but it can bring in real emotional strain. Can you just outline for us why the festive season can feel so overwhelming?
Like you mentioned there, it can be happiness, but it can be also very stressful. And then it results in emotional highs, and then of course, physical health affects our mental health, so then we feel depleted and worn out. And it's critical to understand that these emotions are actually normal. Everybody feels stress around Christmas, to be honest. And it's a sign of the pressures of the season rather than a sign of one's own failure. Like unrealistic expectations, rigid customs and fairy tale stories can all lead to emotional overload. Also, family divisions, relationship breakdowns, financial hardships and bereavements can all feel more intense around this time of the year.
Yeah, and in terms of the most common pressures people face around this time of year, and from your experience in practice, would money worries feature quite highly? We already spoke recently with the credit union about the people and the stresses and strains they're feeling around expenses to have the so-called perfect Christmas.
Yes, 100%. I did my shopping yesterday and, it came out with €100 stuff and you bring it out in a bag. The cost of living for us all is gone so high. And plus finances in the winter, between heat, the cost of food, clothing, travel, daily costs, brings a lot more expenditure than, the summertime. Even if we are cautious, it's simple to understand how fast a budget can become overstressed when you factor in the additional costs of gifts, dinners, gatherings, outings. Everybody's going out this time of the year, whether it be for a meal, a night out, whatever it may be. And again, I say €100 isn't much, when you factor that in.
No, unfortunately not. It doesn't go as far as it used to, and particularly at Christmas. What advice, Celia, would you have for those who are experiencing money worries and the issues, financial issues that you've touched on, which it's not a small number of people who are going through that?
No, it's a lot of people. Simple tips are to plan, calculate how much you would spend overall during the season. That mightn't go to plan now, but consider travel, presents, food, heating. Establish boundaries. Put into place who do you need to buy a present for. And it's not being mean, it's just looking after our own well-being. Determine and adhere to what we can afford. Small savings do add up. Shop wisely. Don't impulse buy, which we all have a tendency to do. Use loyalty points. Keep an eye out for bargains. Avoid dining out or purchasing pricey prepared meals. When shopping for groceries and food, cooking from scratch can be done in large quantities. Put it in the freezer. It might be something as simple as that. And again, pay attention to what really matters. Christmas doesn't have to be about costly gifts. Spending time with family and friends means a lot more to people.
I touched on loneliness, and there can be those who either aren't living near loved ones, either their loved ones or those close to them live far away or have moved far away, or maybe they are the person who has moved a distance from those they know, or else those close to them have maybe unfortunately and sadly passed on. What would you say to those, Celia, who are clearly experiencing loneliness at other times of the year, but as we say, the Christmas effect can heighten that sense of loneliness?
Yeah, try to make deep connections with the people who really matter, taking care of ourselves as well, oneself, and seeking solace in isolation are all ways, do you know what I mean, to avoid isolation, to overcome loneliness over the holiday season. To control our emotions, we could practice mindfulness, mental health techniques, and I always believe fresh air is the best medicine of all. Get out for a walk. There's no reason why not to.
Relationships, if they are already frayed or strained, again, like Christmas can heighten the sense of loneliness, it can amplify the strains in relationships, or there can be demanding situations. And Christmas can, Celia, bring the best out in people, but unfortunately it can bring the worst out in them as well.
It certainly can. And no matter how glamorous Christmas is, like, there's challenges. Relationships has the power to damper a person's mood, So even to try pick a different type of Christmas or adopting a different mindset and let go of old customs if they don't work for you now, because the world has changed a huge amount even since COVID, the last 5 years. Try to minimise any potential drama and avoid, packing your Christmas journal too much, because what ends up then is the new year we would be wrecked if we keep, keep every social activity up. So, try to limit the time of challenging people and prepare escape plans. Example, avoid staying over, take pauses and reduce the, intensity by taking walks, playing board games, cards, watching a movie. It's a time for relaxation as well.
And those are all good options for people, but sometimes at Christmas you can be stuck in a situation for Christmas Day, Stephen's Day, maybe in some situations, Celia, all of Christmas week, and you are going to be around other people or a person who there can be issues there. So how can one mentally prepare themselves for that?
I suppose to modify our own approach, and prepare ourselves. Have neutral discussions with people. Avoid getting drawn into politics or religions, because it can create murders, as in we all have different mindsets on that. So, keep the topic general. To accept people as they are, because the only person we can change is ourselves. So other people might never change, and that's why we have to accept them as they are. Recognise what our triggers are, but keep in mind that the triggers are ours. They're not other people's. And how we react is up to us. Ranting, yelling or obsessing, it may feel nice at the time, but it increases anger, and that's the last thing we want. And to treat ourselves with kindness and patience, and to treat other people with kindness and patience as well, because it's nice to be nice and it costs nothing as well.
What advice can you give us around support systems, Celia?
Frequently, and I love to point out this point as well, we lose our footings and become sidetracked by the support systems we usually have in place throughout the year. Like, for example, I work with Grow Mental Health as well as a peer support group. That's open during Christmas, to feel cared for and included by your family and friends. Enjoy the time to catch up. They may help to, by talking to another, helps to, rationalise our own problems, keeps us grounded and provide different perspectives on what's going on inside our own head. To use alcohol sensibly, because there's a lot of alcohol used around this time of year as well. And be aware of our boundaries. Managing our own well-being is also crucial. It's also ideal to take a break from our daily routine during the holidays, but also if routine goes out fully, it's hard to get it back in the new year. So it's good to have some sort of plan for each day to get perspective and to think back on the year. To give ourselves a change of scenery or pace to re-energise, whether we're staying at home or travelling. We're all individual. We know what will work for us.
And for listeners who may be struggling or fear they're going to struggle over the Christmas period, what resources or helplines would you point them towards that may be of assistance?
Samaritans does be open, 116 123. Grow Mental Health, as I mentioned, and then, if somebody looks up HSE open supports during Christmas, there is even a trip to the library. Now, the library will be closed some days over Christmas, but it's social connection again,
Yeah, all great advice. Celia, thank you so much. There's going to be advice there that'll be of great assistance to those out there who may not be looking. Go ahead, yeah.
Remember the people that are working over Christmas, whether it be in hospitals, the people are in hospitals as patients, and farmers is a big thing to myself. You know what I mean? If you're sitting at the kitchen table and a cow is calving, Christmas Day, you have to go out and help the cow. You know what I mean? So, priorities come first over Christmas as well. So it's not a time off for everyone either. And I'd like to acknowledge the people that are working over Christmas.
Okay, and great to do that. Celia, thank you very much and a happy Christmas to you.
And thanks very much. And thank you to Evelina too.
And thank you to Celia Brett, the integrated mental health counsellor and psychotherapist, who will join us again in the new year.